and welcome to Point Counterpoint, the 46360 show. This is our January 27th, 2018 edition. The opinions expressed by the show's host, myself, Dwayne Perry, and Anthony Tony Hendricks, will many times conflict. Thus the title, Point Counterpoint. Point Counterpoint is a weekly issue show for our area. Point Counterpoint always lets you judge for yourself. We live in an information free-for-all. It's hard to see through all the misinformation and get to the accurate facts, what is right and best for our community. We will not libel, discriminate, or disrespect anyone or their views. We believe in the constitutional First Amendment right of free speech, and we support anyone who voices their opinion as part of their duty to their community. This program brings you just that, an unedited, honest, candid discussion of issues. The producers of Point Counterpoint are solely responsible for the content of the show, but because the show is not rehearsed, we claim no responsibility for the opinions and statements made by our guests or for the information they gather from public sources. We will adhere to all applicable federal, state, and local regulations regarding limits of public speech and program content. The intent of the show is to thoroughly research current issues that affect our community, present the facts surrounding the issues, discuss the pros and cons, then present to our viewing audience what we together or individually feel is the best solution for both the community and the public. Point Counterpoint 46360 show is a property of its producers, Dwayne Perry and Anthony Tony Hendricks, and may not be rebroadcast without the written permission of its producers. The producers take no responsibility for the opinions of others in the posting of comments in chat rooms, blogs, video logs, forum posts, or other media. We welcome and encourage ideas and suggestions for the show. We can be reached at 46360show@excite.com. Our shows will air on Comcast Cable Access and will be rebroadcast by us on YouTube under the label Point Counterpoint 46360 show. Again, welcome to Point Counterpoint, the 46360 show, brought to you by Dwayne Perry and Anthony Tony Hendricks. We hope you enjoy the topics, our discussion, and the show. Well, let's get started. Tony, what do we have on our agenda for today?
Here we go. Boy, we got a full plate. We can't even bring you the stuff we have, but we're going to focus on our basic issues. The NIPSCO gas rate increase. Very interesting things are happening with that, and we started that last show, so we'd like to continue on. Update of the NICD double track project with the announcement for Metra, the red line, not Metra, the red line. Toll road interstates, there's another study out, we want to talk about that. We want to give some kudos about some things that possibly happened in Michigan City. We'll talk about the Whiting Park, water park, and what they're doing. Last year was their first year for the water park. I don't know anyone who went there. I didn't go myself. Heard good things. But first we want to start off with the issue we don't want to let go every week. It's going to be security. And we're talking about safety and security. Yeah, weather's out nice. It's 50 degrees almost today. The kids are out. Still, no stripes.
Playing, running around, crossing the streets.
No crossings.
And unmarked crossings, unprotected from vehicles.
Nothing in the paper. No signs. The Blue Ribbon Committee is still studying it. I don't know. Again, at what point do we emphasize safety in crossings? It's just out of mind, out of sight till the next kid gets hurt.
This problem's not going to go away, and we, Tony and I, are not going to let it go away until there's some action taken to protect the kids in the community.
And by action we mean striping the crossings.
Safe crossings.
We're not asking for much. Signs, striping,
lights if necessary, whatever it takes to protect the young children of Michigan City. Everyone, children and adults, they all have to cross the street and are crossing it at points that are not protected.
So we're going to bring it every show. Let's move on to stats and NIPSCO rate increase. What do you got?
Well, I've got a lot of documents here, primarily to summarize them. NIPSCO has what they call a 7-year plan, and that's what gave rise to this. And utility is allowed to ask for increases. They call it their NIPSCO gas infrastructure. It was created in 2013. It's a 7-year infrastructure plan. They're allowed to request a rate increase every 6 months to cover the cost of the projects in the plan. The law requires the rate commission to consider the plans and increases with very short time frames, which is a problem right there. The government doesn't have enough time, the governing body doesn't have enough time to adequately research the request. They've received approval of such a plan in 2014, referring to the plan as the Natural Gas Infrastructure Modernization Plan. In recent filings, June 2016, NIPSCO filed for raising the monthly residential gas bill per customer using 72 therms. That's what they figure is the average monthly usage.
A lot colder this year.
Yep, 70, yeah, colder. By $2.67 over the utility's base rate. In December of 2016, 6 months later, the URC approved NIPSCO's, they approved a decrease in the amount of $1.87. So this thing apparently bounces around. NIPSCO's most recent adjustment received commission approval 2017 in June. It raised the amount by 36 cents to $2.23 a therm. In December 2017, NIPSCO received approval of an adjustment that will reduce the 72 therm amount by 60 cents to $1.63. Now they have a request in for a rate increase again. But since President Trump's income tax reduction, corporate America, including many of the utility companies, have lowered their rates. So the most recent event is NIPSCO has asked for a delay of their current request until they can evaluate the effect of the president's income tax decrease. So as this changes, we will bring news to you. I don't know why that rate bounces around so much. Either you need it or you don't. When they go every so often and it's up and then it's down, it just doesn't make sense.
So there are large utility companies that are giving tax rate decreases, and NIPSCO has on file with the IURC, Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission, to raise the rates. So they extended, right? They extended the case for the rate increase from NIPSCO for another comment period.
Yes, they're saying that they have to have comments by February 21st, 2018. And it's important that the public know that the next scheduled hearing on the gas rate increases in South Bend, February 5th, I don't understand this. The hearing's the 5th, and it says that this is
Well, then you can
a
still
bulletin from the Office of Utility Consumer Counselor. And the deadline for written comments is extended to February 21st, which is after the hearing.
So they're going to have another hearing, and they're going to extend the deadline.
So you need to contact your government official, let them know how you feel about this thing, or attend the hearing.
So we got to be clear here. NIPSCO is asking for a rate increase. Utility companies across the nation are giving us a decrease. I'm very happy that they're going to extend this and take another look at it. The real answer should have been, forget it, we don't want an increase, but I presume they're still asking.
Yes, they are.
They're still asking for an increase. I would hope NIPSCO would say, okay, we see the writing on the wall here, we're going to get a bunch of savings, we're not going to ask for an increase. I would really hope they say, we'll give you a decrease. But that's not going to happen.
I had a lot of information. It was a little bit out of order, so let me back up a step here. I want to explain to you so you understand what NIPSCO has in their base program, their 7-year plan. It filed a 7-year plan, natural gas improvements in October 2015. The utilities testimony exhibit states that the plan would include about $713 million in capital improvement projects. Now, there's a few things in here I don't agree with, and we'd like your opinion. Projects throughout NIPSCO's natural gas service territory would include replacement of aging infrastructure, fine. New transmission mains, that's okay. Installation of automated valves, that's an improvement. And expansion into areas that do not currently have natural gas service. I don't agree with that. Why should we have to pay when they push gas into a new area that doesn't have it? They need to recover that cost in the rates that they charge that area for that gas.
Okay, let's stop here for a minute. A lot of people don't know that NIPSCO and every utility, NIPSCO gas or electric, whatever it is, sewer, water, they service different areas. NIPSCO, we do this in the county a lot, NIPSCO a lot of times doesn't have natural gas serviced all the way down county roads. And here's why I'm going to agree with you. If somebody wants natural gas, we have a customer right now, they want natural gas and it's not available to them on the road, it's down the way. So they call up and they say, hey, NIPSCO, I'd like to have natural gas because I don't want propane tanks. So what could I do? NIPSCO, they say, sure, you pay to extend it to your house and we'll send you natural gas. But this, they're saying, we're going to charge the existing customers to extend it to people who right now pay themselves. So they can get more revenue using our money to extend to new customers. When right now the new customer would pay. That's the way it has been, that's the way it always is. If there's a new subdivision, they pay. Now if there's a new subdivision, they pay to run gas and electric, phone, cable, they pay. And then the company says, okay, if you pay and you're a customer for, I don't know, 7 or 15 years, we will give you your money back because you've used enough of paid our fees enough that we are going to make enough money. We're going to give you money back for the infrastructure that you paid for. But this one, they're saying, we're going to extend it out to people who don't have it at our cost, not theirs.
Right.
And they're going to make a profit.
The rest of their customers are going to pay for it.
Yes, we're paying. Go ahead.
And then this plan, construction would start 2014 with the first rate increase, approximately 1% taking effect in 2015. Now they're asking for more money now, but yet now the last statement in this 7-year plan says annual rate increase amounts from 2016 through 2020. So they've got a built-in annual rate increase.
Right now.
Right now. In this program, there's built-in annual rate increase has been approved.
Right now.
Ranging from 1.5% to 1.9% per year. So why are they even asking for this? They've already got a program.
Now they're asking for more.
They're asking for more. The average annual rate increase over the 7-year period would be 1.4%.
That's an average annual.
Yeah,
so every year
annual.
It's 1.5. On top of 1.5, on top of 1.5.
Yeah.
And now they're asking for more. When again, let's repeat this, other utilities are giving rate decreases. I was happy they're extending the comment period. Again, I would have hoped they would have said, NIPSCO has come back and says, wait, we got a big windfall of money from the tax decrease. We would like to not have an increase at all. At a minimum.
If you're unhappy with this, in order to fight this, you're going to have to gather support in the public. You're going to have to go to these meetings yourself. It will not do you any good to call up your state legislator because this is not on their radar scope.
Well,
correct?
LaPorte County Commissioners used to intervene all the time. I wonder if they're going to jump in on this one again.
Okay, right there. Focus your rebuttal at the county level.
Maybe the county commissioner or maybe the county council would like to jump in with their attorney.
Well, yeah, that makes sense.
Say, why are we paying? Yeah. Well, let's as a county step in here for the rate.
Yeah, because this is our problem up here, down south in southern Indiana.
Well, they don't care.
They have Public Service of Indiana.
Yeah.
NIPSCO doesn't cover the entire state.
Yeah.
So we get to a certain line, and we're like just east of us, we've got Indiana Michigan Power, which boy, I wish we had them.
Yeah.
Their rates because of their nuclear power
Well,
plant.
east of us has NIPSCO gas. They have I&M Electric, but they have NIPSCO gas.
Oh, okay. Well, then they are.
So, I mean, this is something I
Experiencing the
think
same
our
thing
local, and maybe the city should say, we would like to weigh in. Maybe the city council would like to weigh in with a resolution that we do not support any increase, and we were asking for a decrease to follow the nature of the other utility. I mean, this is what politics is for, in my mind. This is exactly what it's for. When you find out something like this, you have a utility board that you can respond to. It doesn't cost the city or the county $0 to pass a resolution and forward it down as its committal for its constituents.
It's your right to protest. I agree with Tony. Go through the city or the county. Contact your councilman, your representative on the Michigan City Common Council, your representative on the county council.
They
And the
might not
commission.
even know this,
Yep.
that it's opened up again. They might not even know that, and that's why we bring this to you, that other utility companies are given a decrease. I would hope they would, but is that enough on that?
Yeah, I think so for now.
We
We'll
can't-
keep you updated as we find out more information.
I can't say enough that if other utilities are given a
But February
decrease,
5th is just around the corner.
and NIPSCO should pull this. If they're getting a
They should pull it
windfall
back.
to say, okay, we're not going to give you a decrease, but we're not going to raise your rates either. So they're still going to make more money. Anyways, Nickty double track. Big news in the paper. Big news in Chicago. Big news. What do you got?
Well, I see things when I was on the Common Council of Michigan City, I felt I had a pretty good grasp of this, and I still feel I do. We had presentations by an independent firm trying to sell us on this project, and I was opposed to it. I still am. Not about commuter rail. Nickty can run as many commuter trains as they want through Michigan City. They're fast. They don't make a lot of noise. I was against it because of potential freight traffic in Michigan City that I was never, not once in any workshop, able to get an answer from the Nickty representative on how much their current level of freight was going to increase. But that aside, when we finally passed a resolution in Michigan City, and then this moved on, which you all know it has, the communities along the lakefront have signed agreements to support this.
We committed dollars.
We
Lots
committed
of
dollars.
Millions and millions.
It's moving forward.
Millions of dollars.
But I knew that the next step in the process is what they call an environmental impact study, which is conducted by the federal government. For this project to become reality, the result of that environmental impact study has to be good. And because the word environment is in it, doesn't necessarily mean it's air pollution, noise pollution. It's a lot of things. It's the demographics of a town. Is running 2 tracks through Michigan City, closing off so many streets on the south side of 11th Street, tearing down so many homes, which is going to relocate people. Is that going to disrupt the demographics of Michigan City to the point where it's counterproductive? The same as redistricting. The purpose of redistricting every 10 years, which the entire nation has to do, every city, town, county, state has to redistrict, is to preserve the demographics of the area so that a community, county, state is not disrupted by these actions.
You got to protect the most vulnerable.
Yes, well put. And so that activity, here's an article. I can read it to you very quickly, and then I'll move on with some comments. This was out of the Northwest Indiana Times. As the region awaits a federal government decision on funding the South Shoreline's double track project and West Lake extension, the state is developing a process that we use to finance both improvements. On Thursday, just this past Thursday, the House Ways and Means Committee voted 18-0 on House Bill 1374. House bill means it's in the House of Representatives, not in the Senate. If it was in the Senate, it would be SB Senate bill. That authorizes the State Finance Authority. I'm going to have heartburn over this. I should have brought
Here goes our money. Here goes the loan.
Which authorizes the Indiana Finance Authority to sell bonds that are backed by state and local tax revenues.
Yeah, coming for our money.
Yeah, so they're approving, the legislators approving this, and it's going to require loans, which are bonds, that are going to be backed, part of it by Michigan City, part of it by Portage, Gary, East Chicago, to be paid back with future tax revenues. A show or two ago, you better put a padlock on that.
Here we go.
A show or two,
Coming.
I commented on the state of Michigan City's indebtedness.
Oh, yeah.
We have 10 existing open loans, bonds, which have in Michigan City indebted through the year 2020 by $69 million. Now, we're going to incur more liability for this double track deal. Okay? To enhance the commuter rail, Northwest Indiana to Chicago. It also designates the IFA, which is the finance authority of Indiana, and Northern Indiana Commuter District as the entities responsible for the construction, leasing, and ownership of all the rail projects, and allows each to contract as necessary to complete. So we're going to put up the money for the loans, and we're going to let these entities decide how to spend them.
Wait a minute. You said a key word there. Did you even see that? Leasing.
Yeah, leasing.
They can lease this out to somebody else.
Just like the toll
Our
road was-
money, yep, they lease it to somebody else.
Oh my God.
Go ahead, sorry.
I don't know if I can read anymore. In addition, the measure aims to ensure communities that have pledged tax dollars for the South Shore line pay as promised. Pay as promised by requiring the state treasurer provide the pledged refunds directly, the pledged funds. I'm sorry, I'm excited over this. The pledged funds directly to the RDA rather than making the RD wait for distributions from county treasurers.
We're going to take our money downstate before
In
we even give it to
advance.
them. In advance.
The sponsors of the legislation, State Representative Ed Soliday, Republican of Valparaiso, said the finance process in the proposal is designed to get Indiana the most competitive rates when it eventually goes to the market for the South Shore project.
That's interest rates. That's interest.
The full House is likely to vote next week on whether to advance the plan to the Senate.
That's interest. No boots on the ground, no shovels in dirt. That's interest alone.
Yep. Well, that's...
So you're talking probably $500 million in interest.
Now here, I printed out about 4 pages of documents that list all of the steps that Metra in Chicago is going through. They're kicking off a project to establish a new route in their commuter transportation system called the Red Line.
The Red
You
Line.
probably heard about it on the news. It's been on the news the last couple mornings.
That sparked our interest.
They're getting ready to do their environmental impact study. There are so many steps here. It's interesting.
Oh, you got to protect the most vulnerable. But the Red Line, what we wanted to talk on the show was, and here we go.
Get ready.
It was said at the council meeting by, I believe, our representative, Mark Yagelski County Council, that he is the member of NICD, and he went to the Metra board, I think. Bring him back up to speed on why Metra is important to South Shore.
Metra plays a big part in the South Shore train getting to Chicago. Throughout the 2-track process, I heard time and time again, 60-minute ride, 60-minute ride. I was told by an individual, high-ranking individual with NICD, you're going to have to watch our old shows because I'm not going to give his name to you again. Because he's a nice guy, I don't want to hang him out to dry. But he knows what's going on, and he told me, he said, Dwayne, Michigan City will never have an hour ride to Chicago until we own our own pathway all the way into Randolph Street. When we cross the line and we get to Kensington, we go on Metra tracks. We have to cross 5 different routes, which is why you have all the bump and grind and stop. And that's what turns that in to your hour and 40-minute ride. Until we buy our own track where we can hot shot it across the line, avoiding the Metro trains, we're not going to have that right.
So
That's the interaction between, we're running on Metro's tracks from Kensington on into Randolph Street.
So that's what piqued our interest. I hope that piqued, I don't know how many people piqued their interest when they said the red line is going to extend to 130th. I did a quick Google look at it. That's 15 miles from 130th to downtown Chicago, approximately.
Tracks are going to be almost parallel.
That's 15 miles where they're running a commuter red line and they're running South Shore. Now, why are we doubling up service? And what I wanted to ask you was, do you think there is any way that now that the red line is going to extend to 130th, they would like to negotiate any better agreement with NICT? They now have customers for 15 miles. Would they want to negotiate with the competitor to put them on their train? Or are they going to say, we're going to leave well enough alone. You're second fiddle, fourth fiddle, fifth fiddle, whatever. You're back here. We want our customers on the red line. We just paid, and how much? How much were they talking? $2.3 billion.
Yeah, $2.3 billion. And our project in Indiana is just under $1 billion. As I recall, it was $906 million.
Well, we'll say it's government, so it's $1.8 billion and
because all the lakefront communities were supposed to kick in 50% of that, which was $453 million.
We'll know there's cost overrun, so let's say $1.8 billion for NICT and $4.6 billion for Red Line. Anyways,
it would be a loaded track, but they could, if they.
Do you think
they could
want
possibly run a NICT track into the Red Line, and you would see two different rail entities? Well, no, they can't, because
do you think they would
Metris is in the track. Their electricity is in the track.
Yeah.
Ours is over.
Do you think there would be any incentive for the Red Line to negotiate with NICT in any way the last 15 miles? I say no way. You're sitting here, you're in the Red Line and I'm NICT. Hey, how about you let me cross your tracks a little easier? How about you let me get... No, I got my own riders. I got $2.3 billion that I got to pay back. I really don't want you around. Please go away. I want the riders.
Yeah.
So, what are we doing here? A, like you said, we can't get across. We got to cross and use somebody else's tracks. B, there's another train going to run doing the exact same thing, practically. A little more stops. Probably less stops.
And NICT's track is going to be even more crowded once they put that leg, that west leg in down to the Dyer Lowell area.
Yeah, I didn't think of that.
Because now you're going to have trains coming up, and right at the line they're going to be...
That's a trunk line.
It's a trunk line. They're going to be blending in with the train that's coming in from starting at South Bend, Michigan City, Gary, and East Chicago.
So who do you predict, if the West Lake line's put in, will take the brunt of waiting at the T? Michigan City.
Bring a magazine.
We will wait.
You're going to wait. Bring a magazine.
They're not going to wait.
Too.
South Lake County people wait.
No.
That's a growing, and I agree that I am a 100% agreement. No, I know there's some places that don't like it, but that is where their ridership can grow. They have known expansion, building in Lake County, Lowell, Crown Point. That is a growth area for NICT.
And these kind of comments that Tony and I are making, this kind of discussion, never occurred in any of the workshops. It doesn't occur because it's all rah-rah. It's all rah-rah from NICT. Oh, this is going to be so good for Northwest Indiana. This is going to be so good for you. It'll be okay. It's not going to change a lot. My biggest fear is what is going to change is we're going to be like a rail yard here in Michigan City with freight going through both directions, quite possibly even at the same time. One train going east, the other one going west.
Now we can kind of move and dovetail on to the next topic, because I'm sure NICT is in the back of this topic pushing it as hard as they can. They probably love this topic. This is probably the best thing NICT could have ever asked for. Tolling the interstates. We brought this to you before.
Had to mute my cell phone, I forgot.
The state was told, Indiana Department of Transportation, to study tolling the interstates in Indiana. So you're going to pay to drive on the interstates.
Yeah.
How much? Had a number there.
Well, let me see what
$6
we got here.
and a
Yep,
number. You want to get on 94? I think it's at the end of the article. You're going to pay.
Well, this is an interesting article. It says a preliminary study by an engineering firm suggested per mile toll rates for most interstates, including Northwest Indiana, 4 cents for standard automobiles, 4 cents per mile, 6 cents for medium trucks, and 19 cents for heavy trucks. A car trip from Gary to Chicago on I-65 will cost $6.12.
Wait a minute. That's only from Gary to Chicago.
Yeah.
You're not even to Michigan City.
A trip on I-94 from the Illinois to Michigan state line would be $1.80. The study concluded the state would likely collect $39 billion in tolls over a 30-year period. You know, $39 billion sounds like an incredible amount of money, but it's a 30-year period.
So you're going to pay $5 to drive from Michigan City to Chicago and back.
But the interesting...
On the interstate. On the freeway.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not free.
I find it comically amusing but saddening that we're one state, we're Hoosiers, all of us, but they're constantly referred to, including Northwest Indiana. They speak about us separately.
Oh, they try to get us.
And
they can't.
This program, the state's considering 5 interstate corridors for tolling. I-94 from Illinois to Michigan, that affects us. I-65 from 90 south to 465, that affects northwest and north central Indiana. Then south from I-465 to the Ohio River, and I-70 from the Illinois state line to I-465. And then from 465 to the Ohio state line. All right, it's confusing. But if you sort through it, there's a big loop around Indianapolis. Just like there's a loop around Chicago, the tri-state.
465. Well, there's a whole loop. They have a whole loop. They have a whole circle.
Yeah, because they're in the middle of the state. Nobody running around that loop is going to have to pay a toll. So
I told
people
you,
in Indianapolis are going to get off.
I told you I was going to bring you a surprise. I looked it up. 2016. I-465. Marion County, 12.869 million vehicle miles traveled. And you know how much they're going to pay?
Zero.
Zip.
So Northwest.
And how much did they say per mile? 4 cents?
4 cents a mile for standard.
So 4 cents times 12.8 million. Oh, we're not getting any of that. But I guarantee you, all that toll revenue is going to go to Marion County. We saw it with the toll road.
Yep.
We know where that money's going. It ain't staying here. We'll get a pittance. But I didn't look at the other roads. But boy, 12.869 million vehicle miles is probably on the upper end of an interstate anywhere in this state, other than maybe the Borman on 94. And they're going to pay nothing. Zip. And in my opinion, the reason why, because they know exactly what will happen. Those people will not use 465 anymore. They will clog up the other roads and the other streets, and they will throw a fit in Indy. Sorry, it's okay for Indy not to clog their roads, but it's fine for us to clog our roads and maybe people die. Because we don't really care.
That's where I was going next, Tony. Not exactly what you were saying, but we talked about this before, that this is going to drive heavy traffic, tractor-trailer trucks, off of the interstates. They're going to be running U.S. Highway 421, Highway 30, Highway...
Was it 41?
30, 20.
6, 8, 20, 12.
And what we heard about a couple months ago, when the state decided, rather than dip into their $2 billion surplus to pay for the road improvement program, they were going to put a 10-cent a gallon tax in place, $5 per tire, and $15 annually per vehicle registration. To pay for that, you're going to see roads that were designed to take a heavy trucks in small quantities. Those roads are going to take enormous quantities of heavy trucks, which is going to require much more maintenance. So that $800 million for road repairs is going to go up dramatically.
They'll ruin our local roads, and they'll kill people. They'll ruin property values. There will be more accidents. There will be more deaths. There will be more noise. There will be more congestion. Because I just did a quick calculation. If they toll the trucks on 94, you think a truck's going to pay $9 one way? They're going to get off. They're going to take 20. They're going to take 12. They're going to take 30. They're not paying that. If I remember correctly, and I had to do some research, when they did a study on the Borman, a vast amount of that traffic, I'm not saying the majority, but I thought it was, but a vast amount of that traffic was local people getting on and getting off.
Yep.
They will not do that anymore. If they have to get on and pay a toll, they ain't getting on. They're going to stay on all those streets in Gary and Maryville and Highland and Whiting. They will see Armageddon off of 94.
You're going to see traffic flow throughout the state change so dramatically, it's mind-boggling.
And we don't have to guess this. We know this is happening. We just got to look at Highway 20.
We're seeing it already with the toll road.
It's very clear.
The additional traffic that we've seen on 20 going all the way over to the Mishawaka area. They can run the same, get to the same destination as they do to by the toll road and not spend a penny. But what's happening, we're having head-on collisions in nasty weather between cars and trucks.
Highway 20 is beat to a pulp right now. I mean, the roads took a beating this winter. But right now, Highway 20 is atrocious, and that's being nice.
Yeah, right now it's potholes. In the middle of July, if we have a hot summer, like I've said before, park your car at Walgreens at Franklin Street and 20 and walk across the street to the Fannie Mae. You can walk through the roundout where the asphalt, the depressions, thank you, the depressions where the asphalt's been dished out by the heavy truck traffic. It's the roads are not intended for heavy traffic at the volume that we're seeing right now.
So we're going to, and what irks me, Dwayne, is we're spending probably hundreds of thousands of dollars on something I can't believe people aren't completely up in arms about. This shouldn't have got past one vote. This shouldn't even be a consideration, but I guess up here in Northwest Indiana, we're hard-scrabble people, and we take a beating. They take that money. We saw it up at the toll road. They took that money, spent it downstate. We got the traffic. They got the money. Here we go again. And I can't see where they're going to say this will help 94 because you can't really widen that road anymore. There's areas in the Borman that it's, wall to wall, safety walls and sound barriers. They've already ripped through neighborhoods enough.
Well, Tony, the aspect of this that I have the hardest time accepting is how uninformed and consequently uninvolved the people of Indiana are about this. We get excited about this every week because we look at this. It's all right there on the internet. You can read any newspaper you want on the internet. The Indianapolis Star, the Northwest Indiana Times, South Bend Tribune. You can read any newspaper in Indiana on the internet. You can go to the government's website and you can find out what's on the table, what they're doing. This is affecting every one of us. Get involved. Because once it's passed and it's made into law, then the cow's already out of the yard. Have a hell of a time fixing that and getting it back in. It's really, really difficult.
It's impossible because you know what they're going to do. It's the same thing they did with the toll road. they have a 39 or 53 billion dollar revenue stream, they're going to sell it to somebody. They will sell all the interstates in this state, just like they did the toll road. And they will take that money and wither it away downstate, and we will be left just like we are today with Highway 20, with every other road. Highway 20, 12, 212, 30, 6, 2, every road will be unbearable.
Well, I think we... It's sad. It's sad, but
we can see it coming. We know it's coming. We have the proof. And I think the cow's already out of the barn. They're spending more money, hundreds of thousands of dollars. We need to find out how much they're spending for this firm. And when they always say, in our arena, they say, we're doing preliminary engineering. There's nothing preliminary about it. Preliminary engineering is about 99% done. You get to the preliminary stage, it's over. This thing is done, wrapped in a bow, we're done.
I mean, a month ago, what I read was this was just under discussion. Now they've already hired a consultant
Yep.
to do the project. It's moving forward.
It's over. This cow's out the barn. Question is now, how bad will the local roads take it? At what point will it rise to the level of this is
It's already
unattainable?
passed. The strategic plan was due to be delivered to the Indiana General Assembly by December 1st, 2017.
Well, that was the strategic plan, the tolling feasibility study. But now they're moving forward with the engineering. It's unbelievable to me that we are going down this path. I don't think there's any stopping in sight. Doesn't matter what Northwest Indiana says. The rest of the state's going to want it. Indianapolis is going to love it. They're not paying a dime. Their 465 is free. I can't believe that every other senator and representative wouldn't be screaming at the top of their lungs on the floor. No way is 465 going to be free.
No, absolutely.
We're either all in or we're not. We're not picking winners and losers here.
No, you're right. It's all or nothing. We're all Hoosiers.
We're either all in or
benefit,
we're not.
or we all suffer.
You know, the Ivory Palace doesn't get a free ride here.
And every legislator in this state, every state representative, every state senator, you may not be able to get hold of them by telephone, but they've all got it. Every one of them's got an email address. And if you don't have a computer, you can go down to the library and send an email. So you've got an avenue to tell them what you think. But you got to get off your couch, get out of your recliner, and do it. Otherwise, you got no one to blame but yourself.
Because we know
That's
what'll
the
happen.
bottom line.
We know what'll happen if 465 is included in the mix. Never going to happen. If they put 465 in this tolling, it'll never, ever happen. Okay, that's
All
it.
right. Now
Kudos.
Kudos, the upbeat part of the
Read
program.
article. Michigan City might get a cruise ship. I thought that was kind of cool. I think it's kind of late. Why don't we have one of these 10 years ago or 4 years ago? I mean, what are we waiting for?
Well, what was the one that capsized accident? The SS
Yeah, I don't remember. We had that.
Eastland. The
Eastland.
Eastland. We had one 70 years ago. Why does it take us 70 years to get another one?
I mean, to me, it's
Beautiful
a no-brainer.
coastline all the way.
Oh, yeah.
Michigan City to Chicago.
You can
Nice
take a cruise. What is it, a half hour, 45 minutes across the lake to Chicago? I don't know why there isn't a ferry already. It's beautiful. It's
There's been
gorgeous.
a ferry forever from Wisconsin over to Michigan.
Yeah, there's a ferry there. That's
Been
a
there
car ferry
forever.
too. That's not just a.
Yeah.
That's a vehicle ferry.
Yeah.
But
Why does it take?
okay, so
take long?
we might get a cruise line. What do you got?
Well, once the guy decides he can buy a boat, I felt the article on the news was a little bit premature because in the article it says the individual involved has not yet bought the boat to do it.
Well, actually, I didn't say that he was going to buy a boat, but the Coast Guard said it wasn't seaworthy or not acceptable. And so
Yeah,
he had
he's
to go
looking at a boat in Boston
find
somewhere.
another boat. I think it's fantastic to get something like this.
I do too. I'm not criticizing it. I think it's a good idea.
It just seems long in the tooth here. Come on. Shouldn't we already have this?
Well, we seem to bring up the rear and everything. You know, we talked last year about Whiting's new
bring it on.
the water park,
Bring
a
it on.
floating water park. Now the latest is
First in the nation, right?
first in the nation.
Floating water
They're
park.
getting it from a firm in Africa. South Africa, it's come. The people
They have
that
it.
designed it.
They have
it.
It was a booming success.
And now they're adding a zip line. Wait a minute. We've heard that term before. Johnny Stimley's talked about a zip line for several years.
And don't we have a big observation tower already?
Right down into the heart of the park.
Right to the park. They're doing their zip line into the lake.
Whiting's going to shut us down.
I can't believe,
And
I read this, and I can't believe that we haven't heard an inkling. I don't know how you could be the first person who gets, you're a gifted leader. So you're a gifted leader and you say, hey, how about we build a water park in our Lake Michigan on our beach? Well, that's a good idea. Whiting did it. Paved the way, permits and everything. Couldn't we have just picked up the phone and say, hey, we'd like one too. We got casino money. Could you give us one too? I'm sure they would have said, you got it, Dwayne. We'd be right there next week.
This is not economic redevelopment. This is development. In my mind, economic development and the job of the director should be synonymous with dreamer. He should know, or she should know, everything that's going on in the world. The cities that are making headlines, doing things, and trying to figure out what we can do, what will work in this town. Instead, we follow everyone else's leads. Rental bikes, Lime, what's that?
Well, at this point, I'd be happy if we followed their lead.
Yeah, let's just do something.
I've told you this story before, and when I went to Purdue, we had business luncheons you could go to, and I got to have lunch with Dave from Wendy's. It's kind of fun. He's a really cool guy. He was the same guy you see on commercials. It was really funny. But talked to Dave after lunch, and he said, do you know how Wendy's picks where they go and builds restaurants? He goes, it's real easy. We don't spend a dime on figuring out where to put restaurants. We just watch McDonald's. When there's a McDonald's, there's a Wendy's. This is one of those times. This was a real no-brainer. That's what I'm looking here. 21,000 visitors from 15 states and even foreign countries like Japan came to the Whiting Park. It included 14,638 from Illinois. So they didn't come to Michigan City, went to Whiting.
I guess that weekend we weren't the destination and location.
It proved so popular that new inflatable features will be added to accommodate 150 people at a time. And it cost them $25,000 more. So now they've got 21,000 people coming in every year for a measly amount of money plus a zip line, and here we sit on our hands just twiddling our thumbs. We can't even emulate somebody. It doesn't make a bit. I haven't heard a peep. This should have been a no-brainer. You call up these people and you say, we want a water park, and just copy the permit and we'll have one. We could still have it this year. Whoever watching, they can steal it. I don't care. Steal the idea. I don't care. Call them up. We want a zip line in a water park. At a minimum, we want a water park.
It's not hard.
So we've
Just
got.
need to ratchet it up, guys.
I mean, what are we waiting for?
You don't swing for the fence, you never hit a home run.
Yeah,
I don't know what we're doing, but
We're not even up to the
swinging
plate
very
here.
hard.
We're not even stepping up to the plate.
You know, I've had so many people ask me, talking about our zoo. What a beautiful little zoo we have.
On the zoo. Why
When are we ever going to get Monkey Island back? It was a main attraction in our zoo.
And that was work in progress. WPA picked
Yeah.
that up.
Well, if things keep going as they will, the WPA projects in Michigan City will become extinct. They'll just be notes in the history book because they're being erased one by one.
It's sad. That's very sad. So we've got NIPSCO who's going to try to charge us more money, who should be giving us money back. They're not. And they're not pulling the rate increase off.
We got the southern half of the state legislature is going to destroy our roads by charging.
They're going to toll our interstates, but they're not tolling 465. And the quick thing in the paper today, and you might know we're going to get this. I don't know if you saw this. The article in the paper today, Michigan City is number 2, tied for second place.
In what?
In no jobs.
Oh my God.
In the nation. Number 2. Goshen, Elkhart experienced 5% employment increase. Michigan City, a 3.6% decrease in employment. Tied for second to last in the nation, Cleveland, Tennessee, only behind Cape Girardeau, Missouri, Illinois. 3.6% decrease in employment.
I can't comment on that, Tony. I'd be being too political if I did, because when I ran for mayor, I'd put out a flyer that said we're number 1 in the state. Unfortunately, not in basketball. We were the highest unemployment in the state for a while.
And it was good that they interviewed Clarence Hulse, our executive director of Michigan City Economic Development.
What did Clarence have to say?
He said, people say that numbers don't lie, but I'll say the numbers don't always tell the truth. We're tied for the second and the worst in the nation. Now, LaPorte, I give you the Burt Cook. LaPorte has got some good jobs. They've got Arconic. They've got 3 or 4 factories. They're paying living wage jobs, health care benefits, bonuses, retirement plans. LaPorte is really coming on. They have really, and that was because the mayor LaPorte went downstate and got jobs. Well, she hammered it hard. And they have got it going on.
And Tom Dermody's done a good job too.
Tom Dermody, he was right there with her.
He's been all over it.
Jim Pressel's on there holding the job.
Between
Michael
Mayor
Hotchick's
Blair
working on it.
Milo and Tom Dermody, they did an awful lot for the LaPorte,
They hit it hard.
greater LaPorte area.
They hit it hard. And Burt Cook, I have a lot of respect for Burt Cook. He really works hard. He's a fighter. And he goes and he, like he said, he swings for the fences. He don't mess around.
No.
So that's why.
And yet, looking at Michigan City versus LaPorte, for any industry that ships their product via ground, we're more strategically located than LaPorte is. We're equidistant from the toll road, which takes you straight east, and we're right on I-94. We're like the hub of the wheel to go west, northwest, south on I-94. And if it's an industry that needs water, we've got Lake Michigan.
Yeah.
And for some reason, we can't find a combination to make this thing click.
Well, you've said it before, and I've said it too. I mean, sometimes our leaders try their best.
It's just not good enough.
It's just not good enough. They're not gifted leaders. And you see, if you see LaPorte just really hammering and getting these jobs, and Cook said it in here that there's a lot of jobs open for people. They're looking for people, and I want to dovetail that in the last couple of minutes here. We saw what happens in very obvious terms with what happened here with Amazon and Apple and Toyota and Mazda. They straight out told us, we're not coming here because you don't have the workforce.
You're not educated. You're not disciplined.
You're not educated. There's no better money spent than education. And we want to say this right. Education is for the teachers.
Oh,
not for
absolutely.
administration.
Absolutely.
So we are now on the trifecta, I guess. Well, actually on the 4, because not only did we not get people, we have the study come out now. It says we're tied for second.
We're losing ground.
Tied for the second place from last for employment in this town, and that has got to change.
Like a saying I've heard so many times in the construction industry, they're doing a one-step shovel. 1 step forward, 2 steps back.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because the article says that there's a lot of construction jobs in our town. And you said it before here. Say it again. What do construction people say?
Job is and always will be a temporary job. Every day you go to work, you're working your way out of a job. When the work is complete, you can receive your last paycheck from that employer, and you got to go back in the labor pool and find another job. So any public servant, politician who hangs their hat on their record of bringing construction jobs to an area is not doing their job.
Oh, I like the article. I like the article. Hull said the biggest category for job loss was government jobs. Well, hooray. Fantastic. We need people working in the private industry. Well, maybe they could go work for the consortium that leases the 75 years on all the tolls on the interstates in Indiana.
And our railway system.
And our railway system. They're going to lease those both out. Okay, next week. Well, I told you we have so much here, it's not even funny. So we didn't even start talking about the state is doing the concealed carry.
Oh boy.
That was brought up again in, only a couple minutes left, that was brought up again in the legislature, and I think they passed it through committee. They're not going to let you run around with a gun without some sort of license, but I have to research it, but the article I read I thought said that lifetime carrying permits are still required, but you don't have to pay anything for them. A 5-year carrying permit, I believe, was like $40. So that's quite interesting if that comes out of the state, that you can still get a lifetime carrying permit, but it doesn't cost you anything. So anyone can go get one. I have my lifetime carrying. I think I paid $60. So that's coming. So I guess we're not going to have a free-for-all like Texas where you can just carry, but we are going to have some sort of modification of the gun license. And then we got other articles that we've just been researching. It's amazing what's coming up. We just had to pick those because they were hot.
They're floating on top.
We're all
pick them right there.
We're going to follow up on the interstate tolling. I can't believe every representative in our state, in our Northwest Indiana, would be screaming at the top of their lungs. If 465 is not tolled, no one should be tolled.
Absolutely.
We don't pick and choose the winners in Indiana. Anything else you got?
And we're going to talk about safety in Michigan City, pedestrian safety, every week until we see something happen.
We don't want to come on this show.
I don't want to talk about another child getting hurt
another child
or killed.
That cannot happen. If that happens, I expect people to resign.
Government has a responsibility to serve and protect its citizens.
Look us up on YouTube and the web, and here we'll have everything we got. Thanks, Alco, for everything they do. They're always fantastic. See you next week.
You bet. Give us some feedback on the site. We really would like to hear what you think. Thanks, and we'll see you next week.